the only schools that I can think of, and I think this is pretty easy to back up, that rank top 5 to 10 in the nation, but haven't produced that on the field, are all in the South, or they're in recruiting hotbeds. Texas, LSU, disappointing seasons, but still they got talent on every street block, and they bring them in, and that's what it is. Penn State coming off 4-5 and 7-6, so 11-11. Their last 2 seasons seems to be an aberration in regards to still bringing in top classes, especially this one. Last year's may have taken a bit of a step back, but still was a top 15 class, something in that range. That this class, number 6 in the country, despite 2 decidedly off seasons.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes to James Franklin, his staff, their ability as recruiters. I think you mentioned, Mark, the previous class that kind of took a bit of a step back. And a big part of that was the lack of visits. This is one thing that Brian Doan, who's a national recruiting analyst for 247 Sports, mentions repeatedly. And Steve Wiltfong, who is the director of national recruiting for 247 Sports, mentions also. There are a few schools where getting kids on campus is more important than Penn State. I think when a lot of people think of Penn State and, they're not totally off by this, think of it being a school out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Pennsylvania, which, I mean, Tim, you can test that also. That's basically what it is. But that doesn't change the fact that when you get to State College, it is a tremendous college town. That town revolves around the university, around the football program. And kids constantly talk about the family atmosphere and that they get from James Franklin and his staff when on campus. And I think being able to have those visits again really helped. Because you look at this class, yes, a big portion of it was in place. Was in place before visits were permitted again. But getting those kids on campus when visits started up again went a long way towards solidifying their commitments. Getting guys like a Dani Dennis Sutton, who's a 5-star pass rusher, like a Nick Singleton on campus for official visits, helped get them in this class. And even before that, last season, the 2020 season, when players couldn't visit, there were multiple weekends where commits got together in town somewhere to watch games on TV. And I think that also really helped getting them together. And that goes a long way for Penn State. You mentioned, Mark, some of these schools in the South where you could throw a stone from your front porch and probably hit the front door of 3 or 4 4-star kids. Penn State doesn't have that. Pennsylvania is not, I know historically Pennsylvania is one of the best states in the country for football talent. It's not that anymore. Pennsylvania is a state that is a dying state. People are moving out, and in turn, the football talent's going down. So Penn State has to go out of state to really recruit. Now, to their credit, they really hit the DMV hard, and that is one of the most talent-rich areas in the country, and James Franklin's always recruited that well. But the biggest thing for Penn State is
in the DMV area.
Yeah, just
top-notch football talent here. Like you got schools from literally, not just Penn State and big, but you got like SEC programs coming through here, getting kids out of, DC and the surrounding, schools in Maryland, Virginia.
Yeah, and I think, just look at this cycle. Look at Dani Dennis Sutton from McDonough School in Maryland. Bama and Georgia were after that kid hard, and Penn State had to fight their tails off to beat this wasn't a recruitment where he picked Penn State over Alabama and Georgia, but couldn't commit to Alabama and Georgia. Alabama and Georgia wanted the kid, and it's just Penn State staff deserves a lot of credit for when they get kids on campus, they are very difficult to beat in that recruitment. And I think that's a big reason why we saw, even coming off of the 2 poor seasons on the field, this class really tick up. And one other thing also with that, don't think for a second this coaching staff wasn't telling kids, yeah, we were 7-6 this year, but imagine if Sean Clifford didn't get hurt. And yeah, we were 4-5 last year, but there was COVID and we couldn't practice, and we lost Journey Brown and we lost Micah Parsons. They're not totally wrong for saying those things either. Those obviously were all major factors the last 2 seasons. But yeah, ultimately it just comes down to the staff does a tremendous job once they get players on campus, and we definitely saw that this cycle.